All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. And today we're going to be looking at something I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's this idea about like your social circle and like how much it really impacts your personal growth. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
we all have that friend that's, maybe not the best influence or maybe you have a mentor who's like really helped you.
Right.
So we've got this really interesting passage here that really just lays it all out there. It says your circle, your future. Like,
Mm-mm.
come on. That's a pretty bold statement, don't you
It
think?
is. It is. It's one of those things that makes you stop and think, right? Like, is
Yeah,
it really that simple?
right. Like, is it really, can I just hang out with a bunch of, super successful people and then I'll be successful too?
Right.
But then the passage goes on to say, hang around 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth. Hang around 5 lazy people, you'll be the sixth. Choose your circle wisely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of me is like, is it really that straightforward? Is it really that easy? What do you think?
Well, I mean, like most things in life, it's probably not quite that simple.
Right.
But I do think there's something really powerful underneath this idea. In the social sciences, we call it social contagion.
Social contagion.
Yeah, and basically the idea is that behaviors, attitudes, and even success can kind of spread through our social networks, almost like a virus or something.
So you're saying, like, instead of catching a cold, I might catch ambition.
Yeah, or procrastination. It could work both ways.
Oh, no. That's scary.
But it is fascinating. Like there was this really cool study, the Framingham Heart Study. They actually tracked obesity patterns over decades, and they found that obesity could actually spread through social ties.
No way.
Yeah, so it's not just about, willpower or individual choices. Like our environment and the people in it, they really do play a role.
So it's like, it's not just about who you know, but it's also about who they know, you know?
Exactly, exactly. It's like this ripple effect. And this influence, it operates on so many different levels.
Okay, so like what? How? Give me some examples.
Well, okay, you mentioned ambition earlier, right? So think about it. If you're constantly surrounded by people who are driven and working towards their goals, it's
Yeah.
hard not to feel that energy, that motivation.
Right. You see them achieving things, and you're like, well, shoot, maybe I can too.
Exactly, exactly. And there's actually a reason for that. Like we humans, we have this innate desire to belong, to kind of conform to the norms of our group. So we're actually wired to mirror the behaviors we see around us.
Interesting.
And it even goes deeper than that. Like neuroscientists have discovered these things called mirror neurons in our brains.
Mirror neurons, what are those?
Yeah, so these mirror neurons, they fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that self-action.
Wow.
So it's like just by watching someone do something, our brains are almost practicing it too.
That's wild. So you're telling me that just by observing successful people, my brain is like secretly training to be successful too.
That's the idea. And this whole mirroring thing, it doesn't just apply to actions either. It also extends to attitudes and beliefs. Like if you're constantly around positive, supportive people, well, over time, your own mindset can start to shift in that direction.
Makes sense. So it's like you start to internalize those positive messages and you start believing in yourself more.
Exactly.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of that study I read where they had people walk down a hallway and the people who had previously been shown images of like elderly people, they actually walked slower.
Yeah, that's a classic one. It shows how powerful these subconscious cues can be, right?
Totally. So our social environment is like constantly shaping us even if we don't realize it.
Right. But now hold on a second, right? This doesn't mean we should all just ditch our friends who aren't, millionaires or marathon runners.
Right, right.
It's more about being mindful, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, it's about thinking about the qualities that are important to you, and then seeking out people who embody those qualities.
Okay, so instead of just looking at like someone's accomplishments, like what they've achieved, you're saying we should look at their character, their values, their passion.
Exactly. Like, are they kind? Are they resilient? Are they curious? Do they lift you up? Do they inspire you to be your best self?
It's funny you say that because, when I think about some of the most influential people in my life, a lot of them aren't necessarily like successful in the traditional sense.
Oh, interesting.
Like they're artists, they're activists, they're teachers, they're just people who are really passionate about their work and they're always learning and growing.
Hmm.
And that's inspiring to me.
Yeah, and that passion, it's contagious. It can rub off on you and it can reignite your own passions.
It's not just about soaking up their success, it's about absorbing their energy, their mindset.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, that original passage, your circle, your future, maybe it's a bit simplistic on the surface,
Yeah.
but I do think it highlights something really important. It's that we become more like the people we surround ourselves with. And while we can't just, choose to become a millionaire by hanging out with millionaires,
Right.
we can choose to surround ourselves with people who inspire us, who challenge us to grow, and who support our dreams.
So at the end of the day, our social circles are powerful, but we're not powerless. We
Exactly.
have the ability to shape those circles, and by doing that, we can shape our own future.
Absolutely. And it all starts with being mindful. Like, really take a look at the people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, do they reflect the person I want to become? Do they support my growth? Those are powerful questions.
That is powerful. I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while.
Me too.
So thanks for taking the time to deep dive into this with me. This was a good one.
Yeah, this was great.
And to all our listeners out there, keep thinking about that question. Who's in your circle?
And how are they shaping your journey?
See you next time.
See you later. TAO.